Hotep, everybody. Hey, this is Michael Imhotep, founder of the African History Network, host of the African History Network show. It is Friday, October 18th, 2024, and I am here with somebody who really does not need an introduction. You've seen her on CNN. She's a legal analyst, contributor on CNN. You listen to her on the radio as well. We have the one and only Areva Martin. How you doing today, Areva?
I am doing fantastic. Glad to be with you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, look, I've been on your show before on KBLA 1580 AM, real time with Areva Martin. This is the first time you're on the African History Network show, and we have you on for a very special reason, also because if you don't already know, Areva has a multi-city tour, Election 2024 Battleground State Tour, the special report. So, Areva, you're coming to Detroit. Wednesday, October 23rd. What is this tour about?
Wow. First of all, Michael, I can't believe I've never been invited to your show as many times as I've had you online. So let's start.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Election. It took a contentious election. It took a nail biter down to the wire election to get on your show, and I'm glad to be here anyway.
We'll have you back again. No problem.
No, why am I coming to Detroit? I'm coming to Detroit and I'm traveling to all 7 battleground states because this is one of the most consequential elections of our lifetimes.
Yes.
And from all accounts, it's going to be a very, very close election. And that means that we've got to have record, I mean like 2008 Obama type turnout in communities across this country, and particularly in the Black communities in the battleground states. And we've been hearing a whole lot about Black folks, some sitting it out in this election, some not feeling engaged, some folks saying they even are going to vote for Donald Trump. And a lot of that, Mike, was because of the disinformation that has been targeted to our community. It happens every election cycle. Mm-hmm. So it's not new. We are aware of the folks, both, externally, I say externally meaning foreign, as well as those domestically that have decided that they can influence elections if they can suppress the Black vote. So yes. I'm on a mission to make sure that folks don't allow their voices to be quelled, to be erased, to be eviscerated in this critical election, to make sure they have all the information and all the facts, and to debunk a lot of the misinformation and disinformation that has been targeted to our community.
Absolutely. Well, you hit the nail right on the head. The African-American community, especially African-American men, are usually the victims of disinformation and misinformation campaigns, as well as the Latino community. The Mueller report, in volume 1 of the Mueller report, it talked about the disinformation campaign targeting African-Americans. So I know you have been doing this tour. You started in Phoenix, Arizona, yes, on the 14th. Okay, so what has the response been so far for this tour?
The response has been overwhelmingly positive. People thanking me, saying, thank you for coming to our cities. Thank you for continuing to remind us about the importance of this. I was in Tempe, Arizona. I was in Phoenix, Arizona. And then just 2 days ago, I was in Las Vegas, Nevada, 2 very important battleground states. And here's what I do, Michael. When I go into these cities, I don't just host these live events. I don't just tape the special report. I hook up with a canvassing, get out the vote office operation. And I go into neighborhoods and I knock doors and I talk to voters because I live in California, and they say we are in a bubble. And because I, work in the news business, the journalism business, sometimes I do feel like I'm getting information that perhaps, seems really clear to me as someone who's a political and a news junkie. But one of the things that this tour is allowing me to do is to recognize everybody ain't tuned in like we are. Everybody's not glued to their cable news, not glued to their phones, tracking, every poll, every story, every word that's said about this election. I've met people, Michael. I met a woman knocking doors in Las Vegas. She said she had been on vacation. She said she had not been paying close attention to the election, and she didn't know much about the candidates. Now I have to take her at her word that she was not just, pulling my leg, because she opened the door and she stood out and talked to us, me and the other canvassers that I was with, so generally somebody's not going to talk to you for 10, 12 minutes to just tell you a big fat lie. So I believe this woman. She was a young woman. She was a mother. And she said she had been busy all summer with her son. She said, you know what? I don't watch the news often. I don't read or follow politics because it's too negative. Right. And she said, I've been spending my time with my child. She said she did have her ballot and she hadn't filled it out yet. And she was appreciative of us being at her door, answering some questions for her and providing her with some information. So those voters that I guess I was a little skeptical that there were people out there who were truly undecided voters, but there are. And I met others. I was at a barber college in Las Vegas, and young men mostly studying to become barbers. Again, very disengaged, from the process, from the electoral, politics. So able to talk to them. And so that's what this tour is about for me, is going into neighborhoods, not the neighborhoods that, where people are going to show up at the rallies and get invited to all these events. That's not the community that I'm trying to touch. I'm trying to touch those people who say, I don't even know if I'm voting this time, or, I hate both of them. People say, I had a lot of people saying that to me. They're both horrible.
Really?
People that I want to talk to.
Interesting. So when you talk to the mother and she said she was busy taking care of her children, right? Yep. What did you say to her that turned her around? What were some of the issues that she is interested in that she may not have known were on the ballot? Because there's always issues, always policies on the ballot, as I explained to people. And it's not only about what a politician can do for you, it's also about understanding how to protect gains that have already been made. Because that's a concept that many people don't understand. The progress that has been made is always on the ballot because it's usually the opposing side that wants to take you back. So what were some of the policies that you were able to talk to her about that caused her to change her mind?
Well, because she was a mother, I immediately went to reproductive freedoms and reproductive rights because I knew that would resonate with her. She's a mom and she was a young mom. So in my mind, she may be someone that was contemplating having more children. Right. She had friends in her age group. And so I put her under 35. So that said to me, she probably had girlfriends or sisters or cousins or other women in her life who are of childbearing years, who are starting their families. And so that issue. And immediately I said that to her. And first thing she said was, yeah, I have a sister. Mm-hmm. My sister's thinking about having a baby. So that was just an immediate connection that we made. And I was able to talk to her about the only candidate in the race that was going to be president of our United States, who was going to fight to ensure that the rights we had under Roe v. Wade, those rights that were, just wiped away by that decision of Dobbs by this Supreme Court, how Kamala Harris in particular was the only candidate talking about restoring those rights. And I told her, I said, your mother, your grandmother had more rights in terms of controlling their body than you have, than your sister have. And I could just see her eyes light up. I could just see her really get that mess that resonated with her in a way that's the connection you want to make at the door. Right. That's the kind of response you want to have. And she asked questions and we talked. And I said, and then I told her about the House, because there's some important House races. There's an important U.S. Senate race happening in Nevada. I told her she was in a battleground state. And that's what's so important too, Mike, was letting these voters in these battleground states know how much power they have. When I was at that barber college, students, I stressed that over and over again. I'm like, guys, I'm from a great big state called California. You have more power in your vote than the 40 million people that live in California have. And that I could see people's eyes light up. So, those kinds of facts that you don't necessarily, hear on the campaign trail or being said in such an intimate setting have an impact on voters.
Now, you said you were talking to the men at the barber college, and which state was that barber college in?
Las Vegas, African-American man, really interesting story. You'll find Black guy named Marcus Allen, justice involved. 2 felonies. 2 felonies. He told me he was the man. I asked him, how did he turn his life around and what did his friends have to say? He said, no, you don't hear me. I was the man. They didn't have nothing to say because I was running it. So he was letting me know he was it. He was the top of the food chain out in those streets, doing what he was doing. He's a street pharmacist. Let's call him that. And he got arrested. He said he did jail time, no prison time. He had both of his convictions pardoned. And he said he had an aha moment. He said, okay, two ways this is going to go, prison or the graveyard. And he said, I didn't want to go to either. And he turned his life around. He went and got his barbering license, not outside the state of Nevada. He has opened only the 2nd barber college owned by a Black person in the state of Nevada. He owns 4 barber shops in addition to his barber school. And since 2015, he said pretty much if you are a Black or Latino barber, chances are you've been through his school or you have worked at one of his barber shops. So that was the perfect location, to talk to young men. And what I talked to them about was that economic opportunity program that had just been rolled out by the vice president, that $1,020,000 loans for entrepreneurs. Because I said, look, guys, you all got to be your own bosses.
Right.
I said, y'all gonna own this school. Y'all gonna, retire Marcus over here. I said, he's old in the game. Y'all coming up in the game. But barbers can make $100,000+ So these are high paying positions, highly skilled positions. And so I said, look, you're going to be taxpayers. You're going to be starting your own barber shop or school. You're going to need an investment. You're going to need capital. So, I got really granular with those students about what their future, what's in the future for them after they graduate. And they've all invested. Barber schools in Nevada cost $15,000. It's a 9-month program. It's $15,000. So it's a big investment. No student loans, no grants, out the pocket. So they care about their future. And just talking about that economic plan, talking about tax breaks for the middle class versus tax breaks for the 1%, really, really, again, resonated with that audience.
Wow. Okay. Now that's fantastic. And what's important for people to understand when you talk about being a barber, that's a state license. That's government. Okay. When you talk about owning a barbershop, you're dealing with zoning, you're dealing with how your barbershop is legally structured, whether it's a LLC, whether it's a sole proprietorship. Hopefully it's not a sole proprietorship. Hopefully you have at least an LLC, but that's dealing with government. Okay. You're getting a license. You have a business name coming from the state. You have to file the business name. You're dealing with state taxes. You're dealing with federal taxes. All that deals with government. So that deals with politics. This is politics impacting your business, impacting your economic empowerment, but also most likely you need a healthy economy for your business to operate within. And economy is impacted by laws and policies. Today, under the Biden-Harris administration, you just had the 44th record high for the stock market. Okay, under the Biden-Harris administration. So now when you talk, let's look at this here. You mentioned Vice President Kamala Harris. I'm gonna show a couple articles here, and then I want you to let people know how they can register for this as well. But this is understanding policy for everybody out there. Okay, so blackenterprise.com has 2 really good articles, and this one here deals with, we'll look at the one that came out first. This deals with the how her economic plan will help African Americans. Okay, so this came out about 3 weeks ago. Let me flip over to this here. And we talked about it on Roland Martin Unfiltered. We talked about her economic plan. This one here, let's see. Let's go to this. Let's pull this up. This is from blackenterprise.com. Let's see. Do we have it up? Okay. So let me scroll down to this here. This is, hold on. Okay. Hopefully y'all can see this. Here's how Vice President Kamala Harris' economic plan would help Black Americans. Okay, so this is dealing with understanding policy. and this was released even before her black male agenda. I know they have been working on a black male agenda. It didn't just fall out of the sky. But when you deal with lowering the cost of groceries, okay, lowering the cost of groceries, it talks about how African Americans pay 1.5 times more, spend 1.5 times more for their food budget compared to white families. Okay. And it talks about advancing the first ever federal ban on price gouging on food and groceries, setting clear rules ensures that big corporations can't unfairly exploit consumers to run up excessive profits on food and groceries. So we see that inflation has cooled down to about 2.5% year over year, but we still see price gouging taking place. And we know that about 53% of inflationary costs were due to corporate greed. Okay. Mm-hmm. So this is something that Republicans are not talking about. This is something that
can I stop you, Michael? I'm glad you mentioned that, because I'm going to Milwaukee on Monday, and there was a New York Times article about black voters in Milwaukee, and they interviewed a black man, and he said he was voting for Trump because his grocery bill was lower under Donald Trump than it is now. And he also talked about the stimulus check, so he had more money in his pocket. And I'm so glad that this article talks about, one, inflation coming down, and two, what Harris plans to do to cap corporate greed. And what that voter in that article didn't understand is Donald Trump is going to unleash. He will remove any restrictions or regulations that prevent that same corporate greed. So if he thinks his groceries are high now, if you don't have anything in place to prevent these corporations from gouging consumers, his groceries will be much, much higher under a Donald Trump administration than they would be under Kamala Harris, given how she plans to address price gouging.
Absolutely. And what we're looking at here is it's important for people to understand, under the Obama-Biden administration, there was 75 consecutive months of private sector job growth. Okay. I just did a video breaking this down because a lot of people don't understand this, and we have like selective amnesia. Donald Trump did not create a healthy economy. He inherited a healthy economy from Obama Biden. They inherited a recession, okay, from the Bush Cheney administration. All right. When they came into office, you had when they came into office, you had months where 500,000, 600,000, 700,000 jobs were being lost. OK, so then you had the Recovery Act of 2009. In that Recovery Act of 2009, that was an $831 billion stimulus package. And that's what jump started the economy. There's a good article from NBCnews.com that I cite, and people can read this right here. Data show Trump did not create a great economy. He inherited it. Okay, this one right here. This breaks down the facts here. Data show Trump didn't build a great economy. He inherited it. The average quarterly economic growth under Trump, 2.5%, was almost exactly what it was under Obama in the second term, 2.4%. But when you look at job creation, there was 11.3 million jobs created under Obama Biden. Okay, they saved the auto industry. There were 1 million jobs that they saved tied to the auto industry. This is from CNN.com. Final tally: Obama created 11.3 million jobs. This is January 6, 2017. People go study this. Okay, proper documentation ends all conversation. I can prove what I'm talking about. So when you go study this, no, you should be thanking Obama Biden for the healthy economy, for the jobs, for the low cost, things like that. What happened was you had COVID, and Donald Trump mishandled COVID. You had the war in Ukraine. Ukraine is one of the largest exporters of wheat, barley, and sunflower seeds, and that also contributed to inflationary costs. So we have to understand, this is why it was good President Obama last week, Thursday, on the campaign trail said, no, that was my economy, okay, that Trump is taking credit for. Yes. All right. Okay, so we have your Eventbrite page here. Let's look at this. So give us the details. How can people register for this, and tell us where you're going to be next?
Yeah, so 7 states. Somebody I think just posted something asking about Nevada. I just left Nevada. I kicked it off in Tempe, Arizona at an African-American owned restaurant called Lush. Phenomenal. Macy Gray was on the campaign trail, or on the Battleground state kickoff with me in Arizona. She treated a packed house to a couple of songs and just really helped energize a crowd. In Tempe, I was talking a lot to activists. So in every city, Michael, there's kind of a different focus. Tempe, a lot of activists who were telling folks how to activate in their own communities, giving them, very specific assignments. Go call 5 people.
Right.
Volunteer one weekend to knock on doors, make a commitment to spend X number of hours calling voters, knocking on doors. So I'm trying to make sure that in these, states and in these cities that I'm hitting, that we are really causing people to move. It's a call to action. So Monday, Milwaukee, I'll be at Rise and Grind Cafe on MLK, which is, in the heart of Milwaukee, Black-owned business. I'm trying to hit all Black-owned businesses because this is about, recycling those Black dollars. And then come to Detroit on Wednesday, October 23rd, in Harmony Cafe, Suites, and more. Part of a larger farmers market. I haven't been there. I've been to Detroit many times, but I haven't been to this location, but I'm told it's part of a larger farmers market. Grateful you will be on the panel. I have a state rep on the panel. We're going to have a special appearance by your Lieutenant Governor.
Garland Gilchrist. Yes.
Yes. Lieutenant Governor Gilchrist is going to join us. Some other activists are going to be there. And you can register on this Eventbrite link. Just go on. It's free. It's open to the public. It's a big party, too. That's important. People are feeling a little burnout. Don't want to necessarily sit around and talk about politics. So we make sure these events are fun. We have a DJ. Like I said, in Phoenix, we have live entertainment with Macy Gray. There's complimentary food and drinks. So we want people to get to know each other, to do some little networking, get energized. Our soon-to-be 47th president is campaigning, with a joyful spirit. She's out there telling people this country, has so many opportunities, that the future under a Harris-Walz administration can be bright for so many people. So we spread that joy to all the cities where we go, because we want people to feel hopeful. We want them to feel inspired to get out and vote, but also to feel like, Donald Trump has painted this picture, Michael, of doom and gloom. And, if he doesn't win, the world's going to end. Factories will close. Everything as we know it will look like Detroit, right? He's throwing shade at Detroit.
Right. Exactly. He was in Detroit today at Huntington Place. And I was watching Midas Touch, their video on Instagram. They said the place was not full. He was struggling to fill it. He started 2 hours late. The audio system went out on him halfway through his speech as well. But go ahead. That's how his economy is going to be. It's going to collapse. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Talking crap about Detroit, so he thinks he can talk crap and then come back and y'all gonna show him some love. It don't work that way, bro. Nope. It doesn't work that way. So absolutely. I'm glad that Detroit and Gretchen Whitmer, your governor, said we're gonna show you. We can show you better than we can tell you. You cannot come talk smack about our city. We just want to make sure that people feel the love that, Michelle Obama said, you don't need somebody to tap on your shoulder or, make a personal invitation to you. And I believe our forever First Lady, but we want to make sure that anybody that's feeling a little unheard, that feel like they need a little extra push, come out and join us on these stops. I'm connecting with some of the, the biggest influencers in these cities, folks who have their fingers on the pulse of what's happening. Folks that can help motivate and get people out to vote, because we don't want to wake up. And I know you can remember this. I can very vividly. 2016, waking up after that just stunning loss that Hillary Clinton had, and feeling like, just like the world really like had been turned upside down. We want to wake up. Probably won't be the day after election. Remember last presidential election, it was all the way to that Saturday before we finally knew that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris had won. So it'll probably be a couple of days, but we want folks to feel inspired that when they vote for Kamala Harris, they're voting for a brighter future for themselves, for their families, and for their communities. And that's what has me out, leaving sunny, beautiful California, venturing all over this country to talk to voters.
Absolutely. Well, it's important for people to understand how the Electoral College works briefly, because you have people to say, well, the national vote doesn't matter, or the popular vote doesn't matter. The popular vote does matter. It's the popular vote per state that matters, not the overall popular vote. And you need at least 270. You need 270 Electoral College votes to become president-elect. You win the Electoral College votes associated with the state by winning the popular vote in that state. In 2016, Donald Trump won Michigan by 10,704 votes. Okay, you had 50,000 people who voted in Michigan who voted down ballot but left the top of the ticket blank. They didn't vote for president. That's political suicide. That's just ridiculous. Okay, and then also for those who are thinking about voting third party, no third party candidate has won a single Electoral College vote since 1968, when Governor George Wallace, governor of Alabama, won 46 Electoral College votes, and he lost to Richard Nixon. Okay,
so because that came up in Tempe. So
sure.
After we had this amazing conversation, I opened it up to the audience because I want folks, again, to get their questions answered and to feel a part. Young man, he could about 21, 23, said he was voting for Jill Stein. And he said he was doing it. And, you know, I said to him just what you said about Jill Stein, that there was not a remote chance that she was going to be the president or win any Electoral College votes. He said he knew that. But he said it was a protest vote. And I know Michigan, there are a lot of protest voters that we saw in your primaries. And he said, you know, he parroted some of the things we've heard around the war in Palestine and what he believes to be the unfettered support of Israel, which is not true, but that's his perception of the Biden-Harris current administration. What is happening in Michigan with that protest vote? You know, wasn't it about 100,000 or more?
Voted uncommitted.
Uncommitted, yes.
Yeah.
Protest uncommitted voters. How has Michigan, if you have been able to, you know, move, I'll say the word move, some of those voters?
Well, you had some of them who realized that Donald Trump has said he will withhold all humanitarian aid to Palestine. Okay. And they're seeing that Donald Trump is a friend of Benjamin Netanyahu, and he will let Netanyahu do whatever he wants to do. Okay. And then also people are remembering the Muslim ban from 7 countries, banning Muslims coming from 7 countries that Donald Trump put in place. And that increased anti-Muslim sentiments here in America. So people are starting to see, and this is what I knew was going to happen. People are starting to see, well, wait a second. Donald Trump is not for a 2-state solution.
Right.
Okay. So they're starting to see, well, hold on. Donald Trump will release holy hell on us. Okay. With Kamala Harris, they have a much better chance. I think she's going to strike a different tone than Biden. It's important for people to understand. And she said this today to Peter Alexander of MSNBC News. A sitting vice president does not criticize the sitting president.
No, never.
Even
the sitting president tried to kill him.
Yeah,
and he still didn't criticize.
Yeah. So a sitting vice president who's running for president is not going to put out policy that undermines the sitting president, especially on foreign affairs.
No,
that doesn't happen.
No, because she is still the vice president and Joe Biden is still the president.
Exactly. There's only one president at a time. Period. One sitting president at a time.
So
period.
She can't be out there making new policy on anything because she's not the president.
And she can't cut a side deal with Netanyahu and Hamas like G Money in New Jack City cutting a side deal against Nino Brown. It doesn't work that way. Okay. Now,
that's taking civics out the classroom. People forget the civics lesson. So yes, preach.
Oh, so let me show this article to people because I have extensive research. I have thousands of articles printed up. Okay, now this is the people who talk about vote for Jill Stein. Now this is an article from NBCnews.com. Guess who came to dinner with Flynn and Putin? Okay, now this article is from April 18th, 2017. This is a few months after Donald Trump took the oath of office, January 20th, 2017. This is a picture from the Russia Today 10th anniversary celebration in 2015. Okay, now Jill Stein is sitting at the table in Russia. Across from Jill Stein is Vladimir Putin. Next to Vladimir Putin is Lieutenant General Michael Flynn. Lieutenant General Michael Flynn, just by accident, ended up becoming Donald Trump's first national security advisor for about 27 days, and then he was forced to resign. Okay. So now you got Jill Stein running again. Why? You helped Trump win the first time. When you look at the margin of victory, when you look at how many votes Jill Stein got in Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania, okay, the number of votes that she got in those 3 battleground states were greater than Donald Trump's margin of victory in winning those 3 battleground states that pushed him over 270 electoral college votes. She got 50,000 votes out of Michigan. Mm. He won Michigan by 10,704 votes. Go research this. So a lot of people get frustrated, but you confuse activity with productivity and don't understand how to fight effectively. Okay. So voting third party is a trick. No third party candidate has won a single electoral college vote since 1968. That's just to tell you something. But we haven't been taught how the electoral college works. Now, Republicans understand how it works. That's why they won 2 presidential elections in like the past 24 years in the electoral college and lost the popular vote. Mm-hmm. It's not because Republicans created the electoral college, because when the electoral college was created in 1787 at the Philadelphia Convention, you didn't have a Republican or Democratic Party that existed. They understand law better than us. This is why they focus on the U.S. Supreme Court and the federal courts, because it's the judicial branch of government that interprets law from the legislative branch of government and policy from the executive branch of government. So Republicans are playing the long game. Okay. This is why they were able to, Trump got 3 Supreme Court justices, 226 federal judges. Those are lifetime appointments. If he gets reelected, he'll probably get 2 more Supreme Court justices. And he ain't going to nominate 60-year-old judges. He's going to nominate judges in the late 30s, early 40s. They're going to be on the bench for the next 40 years. Okay. So we have to be smarter than this. Lastly, I want to show this. This was the article I was looking for. This breaks down because a lot of people forgot this. All right. This is from Forbes.com. Obama's 2009 Recovery Act kicked off over 10 years of economic growth. The healthy economy that Donald Trump inherited started out because of this right here. Okay. This is from January 11th, 2021. All right. And it deals with the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act of 2009, that $831 billion bill that Obama pushed. It was passed by Congress, had stimulus checks signed into law by Obama. This is what brought us out of the recession and created 10 years of private sector job growth, 75 consecutive months. It was a 4.7% unemployment rate that Obama handed over to Trump, 11.3 million jobs created. All right. So when we have this historical amnesia, we need to go back and look at the facts and evidence. And then under Biden Harris, 16 million, 17 million jobs. You have a 4.2% unemployment rate, fastest growth of African-American owned businesses in 30 years. African-American, the median household net worth for African-American families increased 60% under Biden Harris, $17 billion for HBCUs. I deal with facts and evidence. Okay. Everybody read this right here. Fact sheet. This was put out September 13th, 2024. This is the most recent one. Okay. Because I share this with my listeners on the African History Network show. September 13th, 2024, fact sheet. President Biden and Vice President Harris are delivering for Black Americans. This is a fact sheet that take you through policies from the Biden-Harris administration and show you how these policies are helping the African-American community. Okay. From tripled the number of SBA, Small Business Administration backed loans to Black owned businesses, to awarded a record $10 billion in federal contracts to Black-owned small businesses in fiscal year 2023, $16 billion for HBCUs and $17 billion now for HBCUs, all of this. So this is something that people need to read. This is at whitehouse.gov. This is the most recent fact sheet that they've had. They have breaking this down. So when we talk about a return on our investment, when we talk about tangibles, that's something that's measurable, and you can see, okay, this is what we gain. Now, overwhelmingly, Republicans are against this and voted against most of those policies. Go ahead, Areva, and wrap up.
No, you're absolutely right. Unfortunately, Michael, some people don't want to deal with facts. Some people have been convinced that these facts either don't exist or they don't matter. So we know there are a lot of voters. Look, Trump got 70 million plus voters.
74 million, yep, in 2020.
74 million voters. So there are 74 million people that have been convinced that Donald Trump is the candidate for them. But what I tell people all the time, it's more of us than it is them. That's the reality. There are more people who believe in the democracy that and the government that Kamala Harris and Tim Walz envisioned for this country. The question comes down to numbers and turnout. We have the numbers. Now we've got to have the turnout. And if we do what we need to go into these communities and get our grandparents, our seniors, our recent 18-year-olds that just, turned 18 and able to vote, those voters that don't vote every election cycle, that just vote, when it's kind of sexy and popular to do so. If we get those folks off the couch, if we get them to the polls, if we go and sit with them and help them fill out their ballots, if we talk to them, because what we know, Michael, is the slick ads work, they're important, but those hard to reach voters are much more likely to vote when they hear from a trusted messenger, a friend, a pastor, a mentor, a teacher. So that's the job we have over the next 18 days, is to be that trusted messenger, not for the folks who are already voting. Great. Kudos to 300,000 people that stood in line in Georgia on Wednesday on the first day of voting. They're very impressive. Record, turnout on the first day of voting. So we know that a lot of people are energized. We know a lot of people are motivated by this election, but we also know that there are some people on the margins, and we don't want to leave them behind. So thank you for what you're doing, what Roland is doing, what all of us, that occupy these spaces where we have Black people that watch our shows, listen to us, follow us on social. We've got a job to do. And so, we're rolling up our sleeves and getting out there. I can't wait to get to Detroit. My father, just a little story for you, was a school teacher in Detroit. I have a stepmother. And I have sisters. So I have relatives, other relatives that live in the city. I love Detroit. I'm from St. Louis. So I always love coming back to, I don't know if you all call yourselves the Midwest. I think of you as the Midwest, but I love coming to that part of the country. So I'm excited. I'm excited to go to Milwaukee. Then I leave Detroit and I go to Atlanta. Then I wrap up the following week in Philadelphia and Charlotte. These are all key battleground states where Black voters will have a significant impact. You talked about, the margins in the last election were really tight, 11,000 votes. Remember Trump calling, election officials in Georgia saying, you got to find me 11,000 votes. We got to win. And I said I hope we win big, Michael, because we know the legal challenges are coming. We know the cheating and all the underhanded things that Donald Trump and the MAGA voters will do. But if we win big and leave no chance, leave nothing to doubt about who the winner of this election is, we have an opportunity to chart a new path for this country.
Absolutely. Well, she'll be in Detroit Wednesday, October 23rd, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. That will be at In Harmony Cafe Suites and More, 12041 Dexter Avenue, Detroit, Michigan, 48206. I will be there also. I'm on the panel on the 25th, October 25th. She's in Atlanta, Georgia, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, October 28th, and October 30th, Charlotte, North Carolina. You can also visit her website, arevamartin.com, because you have the information there as well, right?
Correct. Go there and find out the information. Follow me on Instagram. Follow me on Facebook. I've been posting some incredible videos of people I've been meeting on out on this Battleground State tour.
Right.
And posting about the events, and just, again, this is all about engagement. We had 18 days. Seems like a short period of time, but think about all the people that we can each talk to in 18 days.
Exactly. And flood the zone. Share this information on your social media platforms. I posted the links here. This article right here from blackenterprise.com. This is what to know about Kamala Harris' newly released opportunity agenda for Black men. This is from October 14th, 2024. This is a fantastic agenda. Now, based upon Title VI of the 1964 Civil Rights Act, Section 601, non-discrimination in federally assisted programs, we know that it's illegal to have policies that are for only one race of people, but you can have policies that disproportionately benefit and help one race of people. Okay, so these policies here target the needs of African American men. Whether we talk about loans for businesses, things of this nature, because African American men focus on economic empowerment a lot. Okay, so this deals with this, as well as other policies that she has at the website KamalaHarris.com. She has an 80-page economic agenda at her website. Go ahead, Areva.
I'm glad you brought that up, Michael, about that came up in Las Vegas, because
what was it?
Audience was mixed, Latino and African Americans. The Latinos saying, well, hey, is this for us? Is this just for Black men?
Right.
And I said, absolutely, it's for you. I said, just because it is targeted towards Black men, no one will be excluded, because that would be unconstitutional. And we already have seen programs that have been deemed unconstitutional because they exclude on the basis of race. I said, in fact, I venture to say that by the time it's all said and done, this is going to be a program that is expanded and will include all marginalized groups. It won't be based so much on race as it will be based on socioeconomic. We know a lot of programs go into communities and target those who are socioeconomically disadvantaged, which by definition ends up being Black and brown people and other minorities. So I told them, don't worry, this president isn't leaving anybody behind.
Absolutely. And just for people who don't understand law, okay, if you go to archives.gov, which is U.S. National Archives, search for Civil Rights Act 1964. Okay. See, we don't understand law, and law impacts all these policies. So it's Title VI in it's Section 601, because I deal with this in my lectures and when I did a presentation for the Detroit Reparations Task Force. I talked about this as well. So Title VI, I just want to show everybody, because a lot of us don't understand this. And it deals with, that's Title VII. I want Title VI right here, non-discrimination in federally assisted programs. Okay. So this is why race-based policies are illegal. Section 601, no person in the United States shall, on the ground of race, color, or national origin, be excluded from participation in, be denied the benefits of, or be subjected to discrimination under any program or activity receiving federal financial assistance. Okay, so this is why you can't have policy for one race of people, but you can have policies like when you do student loan forgiveness. Okay, African Americans tend to carry more student loan debt. All right. So that disproportionately helps us. All right. When you have policies, whether it's student loan forgiveness, when you have policies like the Fearless Fund, okay, the grants for African American women business owners, when you have things like this agenda that she put together for African American men, it disproportionately positively helps us. But any policies that are good for African Americans are good for America in general. So this is what people have to understand. So we have to understand law and be smart about this. And you're dealing with an attack on diversity, equity, and inclusion. And that's spelled out in Project 2025. They're trying to attack any of these policies that are beneficial to us. Okay. So this is why we have to be smart with this as well. All right, Areva, well, look.
Well, thank you, Michael. Pleasure spending some time with you on a Friday evening. Can't wait to get to Detroit. Can't wait to meet you.
Absolutely.
Gretchen Whitmer talks about, I love how she reps for her state and for the residents of Michigan and fights back as Donald Trump tries to make, disparaging remarks about Detroit. I don't know why he continues to make those kinds of comments.
Because that's who he is.
Yeah, it is.
If you take out a full page ad in 4 New York newspapers calling for the death penalty against 4 African Americans and 1 Latino, the Central Park 5, now the exonerated 5. Yeah, that's who he is. But keep
why do it and then go back and think the city's going to give you some love? He thinks everybody's stupid. Like, if you invite somebody to your house and they talk crap about your house, they're not likely to get another invitation to come back.
But he's there. He came to Detroit to rile up the white people in Detroit that support him, to drive up those numbers, and also help down ballot races as well, like in surrounding areas. That's what this is about. But also, people keep in mind, the last 6 months of the Trump administration, he reinstituted the death penalty and executed 13 people, including 5 African Americans. So it's bad enough to take out a full. Go ahead.
You know that Project 2025 says death penalty for drug dealers.
Yes.
So
yes,
dangerous.
Exactly.
It's dangerous.
Exactly. It's dangerous.
Our EP says he's dangerous and unfit.
Yes. All right. All right, Areva. It's good talking to you. I'll see you in Detroit, okay?
Thank you, Michael. Be well.
Peace. Okay. All right, peace. All right, everybody. That is Areva Martin. You see her on CNN. You see her on Good Morning America. Brilliant sister, brilliant attorney, civil rights attorney. And that article that I was looking at, I just want to show you this because proper documentation ends all conversation. And this deals with right here. Okay, so there's one article from Associated Press, apnews.com. Go research this, how Donald Trump brought back the death penalty. There had only been 3 people executed at the federal level in 60 years, and none of them in the Obama administration. Okay, Donald Trump executed 13 people. Had 13 people executed in his last 6 months in office. So this article, now RollingStone.com has an article, but you got to pay for RollingStone.com. This one right here, this is from Associated Press, apnews.com. Fuller picture emerges of the 13 federal executions at the end of Trump's presidency. Now, this article is from October 3rd, 2023. Okay, October 3rd, 2023. And just very briefly in it, it says a day before the federal government executed a Texas man for the killing of an Iowa couple when he was 18, celebrity lawyer Alan Dershowitz pleaded with then President Donald Trump, a former client, to call off the execution. During a December 9th, 2020 call to the White House, Dershowitz told Trump that Brandon Bernard, at 40 years old, wasn't the man he was when Todd and Stacey Bagley were killed in 1999, and then he deserved to have his sentence commuted to life. Okay, but Donald Trump didn't agree with that, and he was executed. Let's see. Secrecy was a hallmark of the 13 federal executions during the last 6 months of Trump's presidency. Although reporters were allowed to witness them, it was impossible to know at the time what was happening behind the scenes. Okay, so read this article. There are others dealing with this. And also, Donald Trump has said on the campaign trail, even going back to April when he was in Wisconsin, and we talked about this on Roland Martin Unfiltered one day when I was guest hosting. Donald Trump has said that he will give 100% immunity to police against criminal prosecution, okay, for doing their jobs. 100% immunity against criminal prosecution. The sequel to the movie is usually worse than the original movie. A second Trump administration is going to be worse than the first one. Also, for information on Project 2025, visit project2025.org. This one right here. Now, this is from the Heritage Foundation. This website right here is from the Heritage Foundation. The Heritage Foundation is the right-wing think tank that wrote Project 2025. It's called Mandate for Leadership. Mandate for Leadership. Okay. Go to project2025.org. Mandate for Leadership is the policy platform they've been putting out since 1981. And this is called Mandate for Leadership, the Conservative Promise. Okay. Project 2025. So go through and read this here. And it has where you can download the full 922 page agenda. And right at the bottom, go all the way down to the bottom, tells you this website is from the Heritage Foundation. That's who created Project 2025. Okay. All right. So we have to get out of here. Remember, the African History Network, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world, because right now it's corrects wrong behavior. Visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. Register for my online history classes there. We have my DVD lectures and digital downloads also. We'll see you in Detroit, Wednesday, October 23rd, as well, with Areva Martin on this election 2024 Battleground tour. Right now it's corrects wrong behavior. It's not over till we win. Wakanda forever. And we'll talk to you.